Hello, and welcome to the analysis of the pre-seen information for Management Case Study, November 2018. You should watch this analysis after you have read through the pre-seen information at least once. It is expected that as you proceed through this analysis, you will need to pause and think about the information in the pre-seen, as well as answering some questions which will help you to think more deeply about the company. Make notes on your answers to these questions and bring them with you to the classroom course so that we can discuss them together. This analysis will take each section of the pre-seen information and pull out the useful snippets, and also question the information we have and what it might mean. So from here we can see the name of the company, Grapple, and we learn that it manufactures soft drinks. We also see the sort of work we might get involved in, an indication that you might need to deal with these topics in your exam. On the next page, we are given a bit of company history. A couple of highlights here are that the company has a reputation for quality. This will be explored more later on. We also see that the company looks after its staff well. As we will see, this affects some of the strategic decisions that Grapple makes. The company is unlisted, with 60% of the shares owned by Roger, the current CEO, and son of the founder. The remaining 40% are owned by the founder's grandchildren, who have no interest in working at Grapple. Now have a go at this question. Perform a stakeholder mapping exercise. Identify who the stakeholders are and how powerful and interested they are. We are now presented with quite a bit of information on the industry. You need to have a very thorough understanding of these issues prior to attempting the exam. The first small paragraph tells us that the soft drinks market in Zedland is very mature. This makes the growth in Grapple, which we will see later on, look very impressive. We also learn that there are two major manufacturers in Zedland. Here we can see that the two main players in the industry in Zedland are Party Pops and Carnival, who together make up over 80% of the market. Grapple is the third largest, yet still substantially smaller than the main players. It seems that Grapple has taken over this spot from Tiger Fizz in the last year. We learn more about Tiger Fizz later on. So, strong brand is crucial. Yet Carnival and Party Pops are far more well known than Grapple. It may be that we need to consider some consolidation in order to be able to compete. We can note here that Party Pops and Carnival spend a significant amount of money on ad campaigns and make lots of use of big data, not just for marketing, but for all aspects of the business. These two companies are, unlike Grapple, cost leaders with very low margins. Currently, the big and small players seem to occupy different spaces within the drinks industry, but that might well change in the exam. As is the case in the UK, healthy eating is becoming more important in Zedland. Companies like Grapple need to be aware of the issues surrounding sugar content. This may be a potential opportunity for development of new products in the future. Continuing with the industry theme, we can see the key issues for companies like Grapple include sustainability, quality, new products, and the potential for industry consolidation. You might be faced with some kind of acquisition in the exam. Then again, you might not. Expect the unexpected. We now have more data to give a clearer picture of where Grapple sits in the industry. Clearly, Party Pops and Carnival are much larger. Party Pops also has a much higher profit margin than Carnival, Grapple and Tiger Fizz. Blue Jay has an impressive margin given its size relative to the other companies. This is the only mention of Blue Jay, but it would be interesting to know how they achieve this. We can also see that revenue at Party Pops, Carnival and Blue Jay remained relatively flat, as expected in a fairly mature industry, whilst Grapple enjoyed significant growth, partly at the expense of Tiger Fizz. Now that you have learnt a bit about the industry, try to do the following analysis. First of all, perform a pestle analysis. Think about the political, economic, social, technological, environmental and legal issues that exist in the external environment and may affect Grapple. This will help you to understand the general environment. You might want to pause the video to do this first bit of analysis. Next, we turn our attention to the more immediate operating environment. So now you should perform a 5 forces analysis. Consider Grapple's customers, suppliers, substitutes, new entrants, and the competition, and think about how powerful these 5 areas are for Grapple. We are often given an idea of the company's mission in the pre-scene, and Grapple is no exception. We are reminded here that Grapple are focused on quality. It is also suggested that Grapple may look at expansion into new markets. This could be new geographical areas or new channels, something you may need to discuss in the exam. The following pages show you the manufacturing process for the drinks. It is important that you review this carefully. Note, there is a common theme here. Quality is key. Quality control is still important during the manufacture of the juices. However, here the focus is on the quality of the fruit, rather than detailed checks throughout production. Do also note that those responsible for quality control also work as part of production. Grapple have a range of different channels through which they sell their products. The Zland market is also broken down into 3 geographical regions. The most interesting factor here is that the majority of their business is with supermarkets. This makes sense given the product, but may cause them some problems. Supermarkets can be very powerful and may exert this power by expecting their suppliers to be very flexible in terms of delivery, price, and payment terms. The following page gives us some management information. This starts with the fact that the company uses absorption costing and absorbs overheads on a machine hours basis. This may not be appropriate for all of Grapple's production, and you may be asked to consider alternatives in the exam. We are then given sales price information. Juice is the most expensive product. All products have planned price increases for 2019. The standard costs appear to have been last revised at the beginning of the year, to June 2018, so maybe a little out of date. Based on this costing information and the previous sales data, what analysis can you perform? Spend a few minutes doing some calculations. This is an example of some of the calculations that can be done here. Make a note of the interesting bits by pausing the video and thinking about what you have been presented with. We will discuss these figures in class. This is an example of a poster that will be provided in Grapple for the staff. It is a clear reminder of how important hygiene is within this industry and particularly at Grapple. We are given some background on the board members: the CEO, the founder, the finance director, the sales and marketing director, and the production director. They all seem to have some relevant experience and a good degree of loyalty to Grapple. Note that there is no HR representation on the board. Also note that the HR manager feels overworked and often turns to the finance team for support. You may well be providing this support as part of your exam. There is also a manager responsible for each production line, as well as an R&D manager, who has quite limited experience in this particular industry. Overall, there are 97 staff. These are full-time equivalents, so there may be more in terms of headcount. This is a fairly big workforce for one HR manager. It's no wonder she's feeling overworked. The next 3 slides show the key financial statements. Here we have the profit and loss, showing some impressive growth, the statement of financial position, and the cash flow statement. Can you calculate some key financial ratios to analyse this information? Pause the video and spend a few minutes calculating sales growth, gross margin, operating margin, payables days, receivables days, inventory days, and dividends as a percentage of profit. This is what you should have ended up with. What conclusions can we draw from these ratios? Think about some ideas here. We will discuss it further in class. The final section of the pre-scene gives us some newspaper articles and various other online information to mull over. We have some information here about Tiger Fizz and some of the problems they have faced. We are told about the issues regarding sugar in Zedland. We have an article here about Grapple's use of automation in their juice manufacture. It highlights how Grapple focus on their staff and minimise redundancies. We are told about some innovative techniques in manufacturing that a company called Candy Drinks is currently using. We see an extract from some social media. We're told here that Zedland will be hosting an Athletics World Cup, and we can see a fairly limited response by Grapple's marketing manager to this news. We are also given an extract from Zedland's data protection regulations. Data management, data protection, data analytics are all key to the role of a management accountant, and you need to be confident to deal with these issues in the exam. Once you have read over these articles and online information, once you have had a read through those online articles, have a think about the following question. What are the potential ethical issues which may affect Grapple? Spend a few minutes jotting some ideas down. Now that you have read through all the information and performed some preliminary analysis, it's time to try and pull it all together. We're going to do a SWOT analysis. Can you identify the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats for Grapple? Try and do quite a detailed analysis and bring it with you to the classroom course, where we can discuss it in more detail. So, next steps. Reread and reread the pre-seen information. The more familiar and comfortable you are with the information, the more effective your answers will be in the exam. Review the analysis you have performed and bring it with you to the classroom course. And attempt the first mock exam, which will be available shortly. There is also a video guiding you through the process of attempting this exam.